So I recently went through an old cardboard box of my dad's things, and I found a bunch of stuff that he had collected over the years. Coins, a few bills of foreign currency, little commemorative medallions, bumper stickers, just all kinds of stuff. A lot of it basically worthless, but obviously held some meaning for him at some point. But then, at the bottom of the box, I found this. All right? Now, this is a $4 bill that was printed in Philadelphia on February 17, 1776. This is what's known as Continental Currency. Okay? This was issued in the 13 colonies at a time when many colonists were saying, you know what, we don't want to be a part of the British Empire any longer. We're not going to use their money. We're going to print our own money. This stuff right here. They yearned for freedom from tyranny, right? So this 244-year-old piece of paper represents freedom. Freedom, yeah? Now, it's ironic, though, because just as the American colonists were fighting for political freedom, there were thousands of black people enslaved in the 13 colonies, as I'm sure you know. About 4 years ago, the History Channel remade the classic series Roots, and there's a scene in there that shows the end of the Revolutionary War. The Americans are literally dancing in the streets, they're celebrating, they're just having a blast. We're free, we can spell color however we want, the whole deal, right? Off to the side, there's a group of slaves, black slaves, and they're watching this, and one of the slaves turns to his friend, kind of rolls his eyes and says sardonically, "Wow, sure am glad the white people got their freedom." Of course, the 13th Amendment was passed in 1865, 82 years after the end of hostilities with Great Britain. And of course, as a result of the 13th Amendment, black people were finally legally free. And yet, since most of them had never experienced anything but slavery, many of them just couldn't wrap their minds around that concept. Conceptually, it's beyond them, right? Like, what does it mean to be free? We don't know what that is, really, So therefore, many former slaves stayed on their former master's land, where they wandered around the country, not really knowing what freedom meant. So what is freedom? Some people say that you and I are not even free right now. We're bought, we're sold with our labor. The saying of being a slave to your paycheck, I'm sure. We're tied to debt, whether to a credit card, a mortgage, a student loan. People who have addictions know all about slavery in a whole different way. So, on an everyday basis, what is freedom? And, there are those who look at Christians and say that they can never follow Jesus because of all the rules and restrictions, You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't drink, smoke, or chew, or go with girls who do, right? They say that we're not free. But I disagree. And so does the Apostle Paul, yeah? In 2 Corinthians 3:17, Paul says this. He says, "Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom." And in Galatians 5:1, Paul reiterates. He says, "It's for freedom that Christ has set us free." Which sounds pretty clear to me, and any good libertarian will be totally down with that, right? So you can think, okay, all right, I can do whatever I want. I'm free, yeah? Paul addresses that too. I have the right to do anything, you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but not everything is constructive. Paul says this in 1 Corinthians 10. yeah, you're free and you totally have the right to do your own thing, but here's the kicker, right? At least according to Paul in 1 Corinthians 10:24, where he says, no one should seek their own good, but the good of others. And back in Galatians 5:13 and 14, you, my brothers and sisters, you were called to be free. But do not use your freedom to indulge yourselves. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. Love your neighbor as yourself. So, what is freedom? Pastor Selwyn Hughes puts it this way. He echoes Paul and ultimately echoes Jesus as well. He says, freedom is not the right to do what we want, but the power to do what we ought. Freedom is not the right to do what we want, but the power to do what we ought. You know, much of the injustice that we see in our world right now comes from this very simple fact that Jesus taught us so long ago. When we use our freedom solely for our individual selves, other people suffer. And when that happens, nobody is truly free. So let's put this into practice, okay? Let's use our freedom to build other people up, because Jesus has set us free to make this world a better place for His glory.